Hello, guess who, guess what? Well, the guess who is me, Robbie Susan Chandler, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator who lives in Quincy, Florida, right outside Tallahassee, Florida. I hold classes in my home, so if you live in the area, I'd love for you to come over and join me. My classes are usually on Sunday, Mondays, and Thursday evening I have a 5 o'clock class. My other classes on Monday and Thursday are at noon, and my Sunday class is about 1:30 or 2. Anyway, come on over if you live in the area. So let's now see what the what is. This is the card we'll be making today. Isn't that lovely? And this card is made with the Charming Day stamp set and several other things that we're going to use, like some embossing folders, some dies. Anyway, let me show you the inside before we get started. And I just made this a happy birthday. I've been making all my cards happy birthday because I donate them to my church and they send them out to our church members on their birthdays. So it gives me a purpose for making all these cards. So let's get started with this card. Alright, our card base is Blackberry Bliss, and it is 8.5 by 5.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. And that's your base. Now on the front, we have two pieces, and I meant to bring it over and I didn't. This is a pack of, it's called Floral Charm Designer Series paper, and this piece is 5 1/4 by 2. And what we do, let me go back to my base, we just adhere this piece right down here on this side, just like that. Now over on this side we have a piece of cloud cover, and it's 2.5 by 5 1/4. And I did several things to it. First, I cut the edge, the fancy border die, this one that's kind of scallopy looking, and it gave us this look. See that little scallopy look? Let me move this out of the way so you can see everything better. And that's what this die does. Let me turn it that way. And you have to be careful with this die, because if you cut it the wrong way, you cut your paper off and you don't cut your design. So first I cut, and whenever I use the die and I'm going to emboss, I always cut first and then I go back and emboss, because if you emboss first and then cut, it usually takes your embossing out, and then your paper is not as nice looking as it would. Now here's the embossing folder I used, and this one is just our 2 clear plates without the little shim that we have. And this is called Glass and Garden. It actually comes with 2 in the set. The second one is one that looks like this, and I'll show you it. This is what it looks like. This is these flowers. So it's a nice little set of 2. So you get this design that we're using, and the floral one, and this one. So then after I adhered this one, then I just put this one right on top, just like that. And actually, you know, I have one already done. Now the little flowers that you see here are from the Charming Day dies, and I cut them out of Lost Lagoon. So here's the long one that goes down here, and it's this one. And here's the shorter one, this die, and it's up here. And both of these are in the Charming Day die set that coordinates with the stamp set. And the little blue pieces you see there are actually from this bow punch, and I use that little pot thing. So that's where those go. Alright, so now we're down to our flower, but let me talk about the inside real quick. This inside piece is, this is Bubble Bath. Let me put that over here. And it was cut with it's a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of paper cut with one of the texture note dies. Now I have been using these all the time. I love these because I love the little design they put. And here's some others. This is the biggest one. And then here's some smaller ones. And they all have a different design, but they make a really pretty edge on your paper, so it really kind of, as I say, fancy things up on the inside. And then the stamp and the flower are both from Charming Day. Here's our flower, here's our happy birthday. This is the flower that we used on the front, and it has a coordinating die. So we're going to get to that right now. So let me move these out of the way. Okay, back to the flower. Now what I did, I stamped my flower on vellum. I don't think we carry vellum anymore, but I like to keep some in my stash because I really like to have vellum on hand. Oh, and by the way, my inside sentiments were stamped with Blackberry Bliss, just so you'll know. Now, I stamped my flower in Versamark and used white embossing powder on the vellum. Now, here's the trick, or I have found what works best. When you're coloring on vellum, color on the back. So let's start like with the leaves I did in dark Lost Lagoon, and you just start coloring them in, just like this. And you don't have to worry too much about staying in the line because you're going to be cutting it all out. Now I'm not going to sit here and color all this for you guys because I have one colored. And then I use these two colors on my roses. So let's take a look at one that's been colored. Alright, here it is. And here's the die that cuts it out. Now you notice I have a little post-it note tape on here. That will hold it down when you have the die on it like this. And then it won't slip. Oh, and I was going to give you a hint too on coloring on the front. If you color on the front and you hit the white embossing powder, it colors it. And you really don't want that. So that's why it's better to color on the back. That way you don't color in all your white. Alright, so here we have one colored in. Now I want to show you the difference in something that I did. This is just the vellum piece as it is, but I decided to cut out the same die outline in white and slip it underneath, and I want you to see the difference. Now look at that. See how much better it shows up and the colors pop? Let me do that again. Alright, here's without, and then here's with it on top of it. And I think it really makes a difference, and I'm going to adhere those down. And what I did, I just put a little dot of glue just on the tips. You don't really need a whole lot, but you want these tips out here to stick down. So let's just put that down on there. Okay. Now see how pretty that is, just like that? Now let's stick a few dimensionals on the back and see if we can't put this down on our card. And of course I had a white one with dimensionals already on it, and guess what? I didn't use that one. I used the wrong one. But hey, I've got to do both of them anyway, so let's just use this one. Okay, so here's our flower. And I didn't put my other blue one on yet because I wasn't sure how far down I was going to put this. So I think I like it right about there. And when I colored this rose, I tried to imitate this one best I could. And the reason that I used these little blue pots, I was trying to bring out, and these little pots are Misty Moonlight. I was trying to bring out some of the blue that's in this paper, just to give you an idea of why the blue is there, in case you're wondering why in the world she used blue on this. Now we have one more thing I want to stick on, since there was some blue there. I tied a ribbon out of Misty Moonlight ribbon, and I'm just going to stick it down. Now I like to put my glue dots on these two tails going down and on the knot, because I found that they don't really stick if you don't have enough on there. And you can make that part. See, here's one. This one's a little bit longer, this one's shorter. Your choice, however big you like the bow on there. So there's our two cards, same card. Pretty easy actually, and it's really fun coloring the back and then seeing what it looks like when you turn over. So I hope you like my card here. Would you like my video? And please subscribe to my channel and share it if you don't mind. And I have links to the supplies below, so if you need to buy some of these supplies or you need a demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator. If you'd like to be on a team, I'll welcome team members anytime. So until next time, happy crafting.